Good evening everyone. Welcome to Abhirama AS Academy. This is Pavani Reddy Palla. I am here to discuss the Daily Chronicle series. So let us see all the important articles in the Hindu newspaper today. Okay. So the first important article is in the front page with the headlines, Delhi lost 2000 crore due to the excise policy, says the CAG report. What is meant by CAG? So the Comptroller and the Auditor General of India. So his report has been tabled in the Delhi Assembly. So we know that the Delhi had recently gone for an elections and BJP has won, right? BJP has won the elections and Rekha Gupta has been the new chief minister of the NCR Delhi. Okay, so this article is talking about the CAG report, which is primarily telling all the details about all the negatives of the Delhi Excise Policy 2021-22, which was introduced by the previous government, that is the Aam Aadmi Party. Okay. So what this article says, so Delhi Exchequer has lost 2002 crores in revenue because of the implementation of the Delhi Excise Policy 2021-22. Okay. And the other important negative of the Delhi Excise Policy is that they failed to set up the liquor testing laboratories and batch testing for rigorous quality assurance, and also monitoring and regulation through the creation of dedicated post. So all these were the failures of the Delhi Excise Policy 2021-22, because of which the previous Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia at that point of time were arrested and sent to jail, who are now out on bail. So this article is primarily talking about the Delhi Excise Policy and the institution of the CAG. So for us, this topic is very important in our polity for the prelims as well as mains. So now let us study the basic details about the institution of CAG. Okay, so which article deals about the appointment of the Comptroller and Auditor General? It is the Article 148 of the Indian Constitution, which deals about the appointment of the CAG. So who appoints him? So it is the President of India. So the President of India will appoint the CAG. Okay, who removes him? So again, the President of India will remove him if he proves the incapacity or misbehavior proven guilty, and there should be a special resolution which should be passed in the Parliament. So Parliament, so in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, there should be a resolution passed. Then only the Comptroller and Auditor General of India will be removed by the President. Okay, so what is this special resolution? So with the 2/3 of the majority, so if the 2/3 of the majority present and vote in the removal of the post of the CAG, then only the President can remove him. Otherwise, what is the retirement age? It is nothing but 65 years of age or 6 years of term, whichever is earlier. Okay, so what is the term? 65 years or 6 years of term, whichever is earlier, is the duration of the CAG. So who is appointing and who is removing? It is the President of India. So all the conditions, salaries, allowances are similar to the Supreme Court judge. So this removal process is also same for the Supreme Court judge. Okay. So we require special majority for approval of the removal of the CAG. Okay, now what is the duty? So what is the role of CAG? What is the duty? So he heads all the accounts and auditing departments of the India. Okay, so it is the central government auditing and reports, as well as the state government auditing and reports are prepared by the CAG. Okay, so along with that, all the public sector units, all the government corporations, or the bodies which are funded by the government are accounts are audited and reports are prepared by the CAG. He also gives a certificate for the net proceeds of taxes and duties. Okay, so primarily he takes care of all the accounting and auditing works. So the CAG will prepare reports of all the accounts of the central government. Then he will submit it to the president. And the president in turn will produce it in the Parliament of India. Okay, so again in the Parliament there will be discussions regarding the report. So after that, the Public Accounts Committee will again examine all the reports produced by the CAG. So this is the process. In this process, there have been number of scams which are unearthed by the institution of CAG. For example, the Colgate scam, where approximately 1.86 lakh crores of money have been misused. Okay, we have the 2G spectrum scam, where around 1.7 lakh crores have been misused. And the very infamous fodder scam, which has happened in 1980s in Bihar, around 950 crores of rupees have been misused. So all these scams were unearthed by the institution of CAG. That is why it is considered as one important pillar to India's democracy, which is upholding the sanctity of democracy. What are the main institutions which are promoting the India's democracy? So it is nothing but the institution of CAG, the judiciary headed by Supreme Court of India, the Election Commission which conducts elections, and also the UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, which conducts different types of examinations for recruitment of the people into the government services. So these are some of the premium institutions which are creating or upholding the sanctity of the India's democracy. Okay, so we need to remember all these important facts related to the institution of CAG. So let us go into the next important article. So with the headlines, wild and safe, habitat fragmentation has led to rise in the human-wildlife conflict. Okay, so this topic is very important for us in the environment. So for us in the prelims and mains. So in this article, the editor is primarily talking about the human fatalities or human killings which are caused by the wildlife in Kerala. Okay, in Kerala. So in Kerala, we have around 29% of land with the forest. So 29% of land in Kerala are covered with the canopies of the trees. Next, so the editor is talking about the wildlife induced human killings. So it may be because of the elephant attacks or snake bites or the tiger or leopard, etc. induced human killings. So with the dry spell and the unusually hot summer expected this year, the editor talks about the concerns increased with the increase of the human killings or human fatalities. Okay, so the Kerala government is already facing so much of criticism because of this animal-induced human killings. So, where there are some groups like the Kerala Independent Farmers Association and some sections of the church which are promoting the culling wildlife concept. So, what is culling of the wildlife? So, it is the reduction of the wildlife by selective slaughters. Okay. So, what is culling of the wildlife? So, it is reducing the wildlife which is creating us problem by selective slaughtering. Okay. Selective slaughtering. Kerala Independent Farmers Association and some sections of church in Kerala are talking about the culling of the wildlife. Okay. So, but what the forest department is telling? So, the forest department tells that there has been reduction in human fatalities because of the elephants and snake bites. Okay. So, there is some data which is talking about it. So, what are the reasons which are increasing the human wildlife conflict according to the editor? So, the editor says that habitat fragmentation is one important reason for the increase of the conflict. And number 2, we have unregulated tourism. Number 3, we have the cattle grazing near forest. And number 4, we have food waste dumping near the forest. And number 5, we have growth of invasive species and monocultural crops which are grown for industries. Okay, so these are some important reasons why there has been increase in the human wildlife conflict. Okay, what are the important steps taken by the Kerala government? So recently the Kerala cabinet has declared the human fatalities which are caused by the animals as disaster. So, state-specific disaster is the status which is given by the Kerala cabinet. So, what can be a permanent solution for this type of conflict according to the author is to have a multi-agency approach. So, multi-agency approach, where we can involve the revenue department, local self-government, the tribal welfare, agriculture, health, the forest department, etc. Every department needs to be involved for a balanced human and sustainable wildlife management. So, the editor talks that involvement of the multiple stakeholders in the government and the society, like the tribals, revenue, health, agriculturalist, etc. Everyone need to be involved, then only the conflict can be reduced. So this article is important for us in the environment. Okay, so coming to the next article, this article talks about a survey, government survey. So this is important for us to understand the dynamics of the changing society. Okay, so survey has been conducted by National Statistics Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. We call it as MOSPI. Okay, so this survey, the time use survey, was conducted by the Ministry of Statistics Program Implementation, which is famously called as the MOSPI. Okay, so this important article is talking about the government survey, which is called as the time use survey. So this survey is important for us in understanding the dynamics of the changing society. Okay, as well as in the economy point of view, it is talking about the employment rate. So this is important for us in our economy as well. So this survey is conducted by the National Statistics Office, okay, and under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, which we famously called as MOSPI. Okay, so according to the Time Use survey, there are some important findings which we can use in our society as well as economy point of view. So what are those important points? So in relation to employment, so there has been increase in participation of men and women compared to 2019 to 2024. So in 2019, participation of men was around 70.9%. Now it has increased to 75%, and participation of women in 2019 was around 21.8%. Now it is increased to 25%. This is one important finding which is related to employment. Now second is women in the unpaid domestic work. So in 2019, the spending of women in 2019 was around 315 minutes per day, one single day. Okay. Now in 2024, it has reduced to 305 minutes per day. Okay, so women is spending 305 minutes per day for unpaid domestic work. So domestic work generally includes for cleaning, cooking, etc. for the purposes related to household. Okay, next, the household caregiving time in for men and women. So women are spending 41% for the household caregiving work, and whereas men are spending 21.4% of men are spending time for the household caregiving work. And next important one is related to the employment. So in a single day, a man spends 473 minutes per day, whereas the woman is spending 341 minutes per day related to the employment related activities. So coming to the leisure activities, the male is spending 177 minutes in a day for activities related to culture, leisure and mass media use, whereas a female is spending 164 minutes in a day for the culture, leisure and mass media usage. So these are some important facts which you have to remember from this article. Okay. So next important article is related to the CBSE. Okay. So the article says that CBSE proposes a draft policy which for conducting of 2 board examinations from the academic year 2025-26. So the scheme proposes that class 10 and 12 exams will begin first Thursday after February 15 and second exam will be in July. So according to the CBSE, so it has introduced a draft policy which says that there are going to be 2 board examinations, one in February and 2 in July from the upcoming academic year 2025 to 26. So the coming year in 26, in February, students will have students of 10th and 12th class. So they will have the board exams first in February. So those students who are not satisfied with their performance are again given a chance to write the board exams again in the July. Okay. So this policy, this draft policy is in align with the National Education Policy 2020. So which says that students should be given opportunities to improve their academic performance. So based on this National Education Policy, the CBSE board has introduced this draft policy. So it has kept in the public domain. Okay, so the students, the schools, teachers, parents and the public can respond, can give suggestions or objections till March 9th. So, if planned accordingly, from the coming academic year, this policy will be implemented. So, the students of 10th and 12th will be writing 2 board examinations whenever they will be writing the 2-time board examinations. So if the student is getting better marks in the first time board exams, then will be considered final. Okay, better marks of both the examinations will be considered as final. So this is one important article which is related to the CBSE draft policy. So we have next important article with the headline, CM moots the Telangana's life science policy. Okay. So first of all, let us know the meaning of life science. So what are life sciences? So they are nothing but the scientific study of the life. So it primarily includes biology, biotechnology, cell biology, molecular biology, ecology, etc. So it is having various applications in health, food industry, agriculture industry, etc. So the government of Telangana wanted to draft a life science policy, okay, in Telangana. So this article is primarily talking about the Telangana government's interest in the life science policy drafting. Okay, so the CM of the Telangana, he was talking at the inauguration of BioAsia 2025, which happened in the Hyderabad city, and he was talking about the Hyderabad becoming the world's best and largest ecosystem for the growth of life sciences. So where he focused and emphasized on promoting innovation, research, development and investments in the life sciences sector. Okay. So he talked about dry port, which is meant to link the road, railways and seaport in the neighboring Andhra Pradesh. So why? For the export and import facilities. For the movement of the logistics and for imports and export facility, he planned to construct a dry port so that Hyderabad has a huge potential for becoming the pharmaceutical capital of not just India but for the entire world. Okay. So he has talked about the potential of Hyderabad in the becoming the green pharmacy city in the future city project. So what is a future city? So we all know Hyderabad is primarily consisting of 3 important regions, that is Hyderabad, Secunderabad and the Hyderabad. So recently the government of Telangana has declared that the 4th city, which is the future city of the Telangana, as Mucherla. Okay, so this is south of Hyderabad city. So Mucherla is 50 kilometers away from Hyderabad city, main city, and it is going to develop as the 4th city of Hyderabad, where we are going to make the green pharma city. Okay. So coming to the BioAsia 2025, it is the 22nd edition of the Premier Life Sciences and Healthcare event. So which was concluded on February 26th. Where it was conducted? It was conducted at Hyderabad International Conventional Center in Hyderabad, India. So what is the main objective? So the main objective is to discuss and collaborate the innovations on biopharmaceuticals, digital health and medical devices and the advanced therapeutics in the life sciences sector. Okay. So what is the theme of BioAsia 2025? The theme is the catalyst of change, expanding global healthcare frontiers. So with this theme, the BioAsia 2025 has been concluded in Hyderabad. So what it highlights, what it tells, so it prioritizes the pioneering transformative innovations, so nurturing cross-border collaborations and adoption of the cutting-edge technologies in the healthcare delivery system. Okay. So this BioAsia 2025 22nd edition is primarily focusing on the precision medicine. So what is the main core concept of the 22nd edition? It is the precision medicine and the role of sustainable healthcare practices for mitigating or eliminating the environmental impacts. So this is the main prioritized area of the BioAsia 2025. Okay. So why is it important for Telangana? So what is the significance? 11 pharmaceutical companies have pledged to invest almost around 5,445 crores in the Telangana's Green Pharma City. So where they are going to produce approximately around 10,000 jobs in Telangana. So Telangana, especially, we have to make a note of this. During the COVID time, Hyderabad has been playing a very major role in the COVID vaccine production to the entire globe. Approximately around 30 to 40% of global vaccines are produced in Hyderabad. Okay, so in this background, if we are going to develop a new green pharma city, then it is going to play a very pivotal role in the development of the economy of Hyderabad as well as Telangana. Okay, so and also there is additional announcement made by the EY, Parthenon and the Microsoft in the scaling up of the artificial intelligence framework. Okay, so these are two important significance which are meant for Telangana. So this is going to play a very important role for development of the economy of Telangana and India as well. Okay, so these are the important articles for today. So let us continue our class tomorrow. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to Abhiram IAS Academy.